Rivalries are a huge part of sports. In college sports, for example, rivalries are more of a tradition type of thing. You have Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Oklahoma. It doesn't matter who is playing for those schools in any particular year. The players don't matter. The coaches really don't matter. Every fall, those teams are going to circle on their calendar their rivalry game. Coaches can actually lose their jobs in college football if they lose to their rival too many times. But in the NBA, rivalries are more personal. They're more about the superstar players than they are about the teams. The rivalry between Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA back in the 1980s. After that, you had Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas. Then you had Kobe, Shaq. Sometimes the rivalries are only 48 minutes at a time. And what I mean by that, the guys are only rivals once the ball is tipped off. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird had immense respect for each other. They praised each other in the media. Theirs was more a respectable rivalry. On the court, they were after each other, but off the court, they really liked each other. They were friends. Oftentimes, though, the best rivalries are built off of a genuine dislike for the other player. Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas, they hated each other. Jordan even went so far as to get Isaiah Thomas excluded from the Dream Team in the '92 Olympics. And we all know the disdain that Kobe and Shaq had for each other in the early to mid 2000s. I bring all of this up because we are on the precipice of a new rivalry that is developing in the NBA. It's been subtly brewing for a little while now, but it is going to take off once the playoffs get started. I'm talking about the rivalry between Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James. We really don't hear too much about the tension between Kawhi and LeBron in the media. I mean, we get little tidbits of it here and there, like back in January when Stephen A. Smith reported that Kawhi said during a game, "Someone tell LeBron to stop being scared to guard me." That's the stuff that we get little tidbits of, but other than that, we don't really hear much about it. Which I guess is kind of to be expected because Kawhi Leonard isn't one that reveals much to the media. He does all of his talking on the court or in television commercials. I'll explain that in a second. LeBron James, however, we all know LeBron relishes the media spotlight, and he is not afraid to speak his thoughts publicly. He did just that Saturday night. It wasn't what I would call a devastating shot, but it was definitely a little spark to ignite the fire. After the Lakers lost to Toronto, LeBron was talking about the Raptors as a team, and he said, quote, "That's a great team. They won a championship for a reason. It wasn't all solely because of Kawhi," end quote. I happen to disagree. LeBron James is wrong. The Raptors winning the title last season was 100% because of Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi wasn't in Toronto last season, the Raptors season would have ended just like they had the past 10 or so years, with another underwhelming playoff loss. Kawhi Leonard was absolutely the difference. Now, with me saying that, I'm not taking anything away from guys like Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, other guys on that team. Both Kyle Lowry and Siakam were instrumental in that playoff run. And Nick Nurse is an excellent head coach. But we all know, without Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors weren't making it out of the Eastern Conference, much less winning the NBA Finals. Now, some might think that the rivalry between Kawhi and LeBron traces back all the way to 2013. They met in the finals 2 years in a row. LeBron and the Heat winning in 2013 and Kawhi and the Spurs won in 2014. To me, though, that's not where this rivalry begins. Kawhi really wasn't a superstar level player back then. The casual NBA fan likely knew nothing about Kawhi Leonard until 2014 when he won the Finals MVP. And he damn sure wasn't the leader of that Spurs team. There were 3 Hall of Famers on that roster. Kawhi Leonard wasn't the leader of that team. So the rivalry between LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard, it didn't begin until last summer. The Lakers at the time, they were looking for another superstar to bring in to play with LeBron James. They were interested in both Kawhi and Paul George. Not only did Kawhi make it known that he didn't want to play with LeBron, and he didn't want to join a super team, he didn't want to be in LeBron's shadow, he then went out and recruited Paul George to join him with the Clippers, which really put LeBron and the Lakers in a bind. They ended up having to mortgage their future to go out and get Anthony Davis. So that was kind of the first shot in the rivalry. Then you had Kawhi's New Balance commercial. It was released the same day that the Clippers opened the season against the Lakers. Now, in the commercial, Kawhi claims that Los Angeles is his city. There's a shot in the commercial that shows a keychain, and on the chain is a little crown. And it was perceived as a slight at LeBron James since he calls himself the king. Now, a couple of weeks after that, LeBron comes out and he criticizes load management. He didn't mention Kawhi Leonard specifically, but it wasn't hard to determine that LeBron was calling out Kawhi. He basically said that the only way that he is going to miss games is if he is hurt. He's not going to miss games for rest. He's not going to miss back-to-backs because he's tired. He's not going to miss because of some nagging injury. Clippers coach Doc Rivers came out to Kawhi's defense. He said that load management with Kawhi was the Clippers' philosophy, and that he didn't know what the Lakers' philosophy was, but it's probably whatever LeBron says it is, insinuating that the Clippers are ran by their coach, Doc Rivers, and the Lakers are run by LeBron James, the star player. Which, when you think about it, isn't really that far from the truth. Besides his first couple of years in the NBA, LeBron has been the captain, so to speak, of every organization that he has been involved with. Do you really think a young Eric Spoelstra was calling the shots in Miami? Or was it LeBron James? You think Ty Lue was calling the shots in Cleveland? Or was it LeBron James? It is the same with Frank Vogel with the Lakers. LeBron is the boss. Now, obviously, the competitiveness on the court is what is going to make this rivalry between LeBron and Kawhi must-see TV. The season series right now is tied 2-2. Average margin of victory, 6 points. And both LeBron and Kawhi have stepped up in all 4 games. But what's going to make this rivalry really good is their clashing personalities. LeBron and Kawhi are total opposites. LeBron, he is the flashy, outspoken, I'm the king. He's the leader of the NBA. LeBron is the type of guy that you have shots with at the bar and talk about current events or sports or whatever. While Kawhi Leonard is soft-spoken, a bit awkward. Remember his introductory press conference in Toronto last year or 2 years ago? How awkward it was. That video that played endlessly with Kawhi awkwardly laughing with that weird laugh that he had. That is Kawhi Leonard. He is like the silent assassin. Clashing personalities, though, is what turns a rivalry into a classic. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, Bill Belichick, Rex Ryan. Hate to mention them again, but Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. All of those rivalries were classic because the guys involved were polar opposites of each other. The question is, who is going to come out on top in the rivalry between LeBron and Kawhi? Unfortunately, unlike other rivalries that I've mentioned, we're not going to get a lot of time with this one. LeBron James is 35 years old. Like I've said on here countless times, he is not going to physically be able to play at an elite level much longer. And once LeBron starts to regress, the rivalry is over. I mean, conflicts are only interesting when both participants are on an equal level. Once one has an advantage over the other, it's no longer a rivalry, it's just a beatdown. So we only have this season and possibly next season for this thing between LeBron and Kawhi to play out. And LeBron does not have a chance at coming out on top. It's not because Kawhi is necessarily the better player. At this point, I think Kawhi and LeBron are equals. It's because Kawhi Leonard has the better team. While the majority of people have been claiming all year that LeBron and the Lakers are the best team in the NBA, I have been saying that they're not even the best team in Los Angeles. They're not even the best team in the Staples Center. LeBron and Kawhi are on an equal level. Anthony Davis, Paul George, equal level. The difference comes in the Clippers' depth. The Lakers don't have guys like Patrick Beverley, Marcus Morris, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. The type of guys that you need to make a deep playoff run and win a championship. Who do the Lakers have outside of LeBron and AD? Kyle Kuzma? Dwight Howard? Alex Caruso? J.R. Smith? I mean, give me a break. Which one of those guys are coming through in the clutch? The Clippers have a roster full of guys that can. My point is, outside of the superstar players that are on an equal playing field, the Clippers are better in every other facet of the game. Better role players, better coaching. Who would you rather have coaching your team? Doc Rivers or Frank Vogel? If you say Frank Vogel, you're either a Lakers fanboy or you're an idiot, or both. So even though this rivalry is going to be short-lived, Kawhi Leonard is going to come out on top. And it's not because he's the better player, which if you asked 100 people, 50 would say LeBron is better, and I think 50 would say Kawhi is better. That's not going to be the reason. Kawhi's going to come out on top because he has the better team with the Clippers. All right, that's all for today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Who do you think will come out on top in this rivalry? Is it going to be LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions or a topic you want me to cover, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.